Here with Caskilla, the new undisputed 147-pound champ and still unified 140-pound champ. How's it going?
Everything's good. Glad to be here.
Has it set in yet?
Everybody keeps asking that, and I don't know. I feel like there's nothing to set in. We've just had these goals for so long, and we had so much confidence in ourselves that it just feels like we kind of like ticked off a checkbox, and we're not done. This isn't like the top. I feel like there's other big fights to have and other names to kind of conquer. So we're still working. We're still scrapping.
Yo, if it's more to be done, man, I can only imagine. Because I'm trying to think. I don't think anybody has ever done that. Been undisputed in one class and unified in another simultaneously.
That I'm gonna have to research and find out, because that's awesome too.
All right, now you're coming off of being an undefeated fighter, a legend. How did you mentally prepare yourself to jump up a weight class and fight her in her house, basically?
I think the smartest thing that we did was we started thinking about it a long time ago. The story is that I met her in 2017 in Vegas after the Katie fight, took a little vacation, went to Vegas to see the Holly Holm Cyborg UFC match. And my coach and manager, Rick Ramos, being the manager that he is, he was networking for me while he was in Chicago and while I was in Vegas. So he's like, hey, go meet this person. They're there. They're in this row. Take pictures, say hello. So I got a chance to meet a lot of great people, other promoters and just other fighters. And Cecilia was one of them. So we took this picture together, and she put her fist up, just regular boxing pose kind of thing. Yeah. And I went to do the same thing, and I thought, if there's a picture where they can size up our hands together, I don't think I want that. And, just back then, because maybe we would fight one day. And then they did end up calling us to help out with a camp of hers. They wanted, me as a sparring partner, and we declined because we thought we would fight one day. And then I was actually supposed to be her last fight on HBO, and we were in negotiations for that. And Eddie Hearn just, told us to let the offer expire and that we would work with him. And so we did that. So it just seemed to get closer and closer and closer, and just always thinking, top of the food chain and things like that. And it came, and then we conquered.
Okay. Yo, it was definitely an impressive performance. Like, you are a dog.
Scrapping for it, for sure. I mean, like, there's always the people that will say, like, oh, that was an ugly fight, and just different things. And it was like, I felt like I had to show people that I was there to take it, not have it handed to me, not by fluke, not by, anything that was too close. I really wanted it to be a defined win. And I think the punch count showed that. I think the ring generalship showed that. I just was willing to throw, and, I'll take a punch to get my own combination off. And most of the time, the females that I fight don't have, any kind of massive power. And so, you shouldn't take punches. But sometimes you have to eat one to get off 2 or 3.
Okay. Now, is there a rematch clause?
Yes, we are. We do have a rematch clause in the contract. I don't know if she's going to take that or not. She alluded to retirement. And I honestly think she'll wake up in about 2 weeks and just kind of realize, like, this is in her blood, and she's, not ready to give it up. I mean, most of the fighters you talk about with retirement, whether it be Mayweather or whether it be Tyson or, Roy Jones, they're all fighting again. They're all trying to get a little dip in the water. So it's not convincing enough to think that she's going to retire.
Okay. Let's talk about the fight. I noticed first round you came out really, really strong jab. Not really flicking, like really, real hard. And it kind of set up the overhand right. Is that something that you worked on in camp?
We worked on a few different things, and, the hard jab was definitely one of them. Setting up the right hand was one of them. A lot of fighters don't like my power and my punch count, and so they'll hold. I get held a lot. and we were preparing for her to hold, which she did. And when she held, it wasn't a hold like tightly to where she was trying to avoid me, trying to stop me from punching. And it wasn't like there was just a pause so that she could breathe. And she left a lot of space in between us. And I was able to sneak that right uppercut in there. And so I took advantage of that. And that was something that we did practice.
Do you feel like she gassed out towards round 9 and round 10? Because she had a good pace going on in 7 and 8. And it just seemed like it just dropped off.
Well, I think there's a couple of things there. I feel like she never really got up for it. I mean, we expected a lot more jabs. We expected a lot more movement. And even if you're going to change your movement from being side to side and being elusive to coming forward, then I would think you would really come forward. And I didn't see that. So I think it didn't really transition. It just kind of faded off into maybe a bad game plan. So I expected her to be up for the challenge a little bit more. And I don't know if it was her fading in the last couple of rounds or, Rick telling me like, hey, we got 6 minutes left. Do you have 6 minutes for me? Yeah, I got 6 minutes for you, coach. And just really going in there and trying to really make a difference in those last few rounds.
Do you feel like the fight went according to plan for you?
I do. I normally don't start so fast. I take a couple rounds to really warm up and get in my groove. And the first minute of the first round, I moved around a little bit and I was trying to feel her out, see what she was going to do, see what their game plan was. And I noticed, okay, she's coming at me. And I was like, okay, well then let's do it. And I felt like I started way early and I kept that pace the whole time.
Was this your first time headlining?
No, we've headlined in Chicago before. I think the Katie Taylor fight in 2017, I think that was headlined over in London. Okay. So we've headlined a couple times. It's always great to have that kind of, thing on your resume, but it wasn't like a new feeling or a new surprise or anything like that.
Okay. Now, the details of the rematch clause, does the rematch have to take place this year, or is it like a certain kind of time frame where we could possibly see this fight?
I think she just has to make an agreement and get like a date out there. I don't remember specifically if it has to happen right away within this year. You're talking 4 months or so to get another fight off, and I don't know if she's recuperated. She's a little older. I mean, she really seemed like she needed more time off, that kind of thing. So I'm not sure exactly what the rematch clause says about when it has to take place. I'd have to go look at that again.
Okay. All right, so I'm about to ask you the $1 million question.
All right.
What's next?
Well, that question is a lot easier now after Katie Taylor beat Delphine Persoon. So, of course, we would want the McCaskill-Taylor 2 rematch. We've talked about Amanda Serrano. Both of our teams have spoken, and we both would love to put on that show for the fans. So, I mean, there's a couple of different options out there. Of course, if the Cecilia rematch happens, there's that. But we just want to make sure we're putting out really good fights, high-level material for the fans, big names, and a lot of things on the line. So we'll just have to see how everybody's doing after their fights and see who wants it.
At what weight, though?
My weight, because I'm the undisputed champion. I have all the belts, so I get to make those calls.
Okay. Because I didn't know if it was going to be you say, okay, well, we can meet at 140. I'm still the champ there. Or everybody has to come to 147 now?
Yeah, right now, the best play is 147. I mean, I have great power at 147. I feel very comfortable at 147. I mean, we've done 135, 140, 145. So it's just, this is where we are right now, and there's no reason to get out so fast.
So you're going to vacate?
We are actually in conversation now, figuring out what needs to be done where, but I think that news will be out soon on exactly what's going to happen where with what belts.
Okay. Right. Speaking of Katie Taylor, I know that's a rematch that you said you wanted. Did you watch the personal fight?
No, I caught like highlights, and I think it was like some of the middle rounds really where they seemed kind of bruised up, and she just kind of looks a lot like the same fighter that, you know, I met in 2017. I've always said that she's not one to really teach new tricks, and that could be on their side thinking like we're winning, so we don't need new tricks. You know, so that's good for me because I've been just growing wiser with my boxing IQ. My body's been changing and just becoming really strong and, you know, developing. And, you know, that's better for me if they keep the same game plan, if they keep the same skills.
It was another controversial win. A lot of people thought that she lost for the second time. Is there any reservation about fighting her in a particular place? Because it seems like if it's like if it's overseas or if it's a matchroom card, then she has an advantage.
Well, if it's overseas, I mean that's great. If we're somewhere where they have taken away the restriction on an audience being there, that's great. Let's get the fans in there. Let's fill up Wembley Stadium with 100,000 people. Let's do another historic moment for DAZN or Matchroom or for myself. You know, that's something that is not frowned upon at all. It doesn't. I'm not looking for Chicago necessarily. I'm not looking for New York. I'm looking like Oklahoma was actually amazing. It was, as from a fighter standpoint and being in the bubble, I didn't mind any of that at all. So I just feel like, you know, we need to be on some even playing ground somewhere, and we'll have to figure out where that is.
Okay. Speaking of the bubble, I always wanted to know, like what exactly do you do with all that time?
Man, I took naps. I watched some like crummy TV, like Catfish, just like, you know, things I don't normally get to do because I don't even watch TV here at home. It's just like one thing after another. So I got my workout in early in the morning. They escorted me to my workout. I had the whole room to myself. They had the hazmat team come in and clean it once I was gone. I had Zoom calls with my strength and conditioning team, and we did a couple other workouts throughout the week. There were a ton of interviews. So I did have a kind of busy schedule, and so I just kind of had to work in my own thing around all of that.
Okay. Is it different being? I know you were a champ before, but now you're undisputed. Has anything changed?
I think the response from the fans has changed. I have a lot more people just reaching out, and a lot more people seeing my story. I have a bigger platform to kind of share my experiences and to help other people. You know, I was able to do like a Zoom conference with a school on the south side of Chicago, and kids were asking me questions, and I was just able to share, you know, the things I've been through in life and to really encourage them. So my goal is just to continue to open up those opportunities and to use this platform for something really positive.
Okay. Now, last conversation I had with your trainer Rick, he mentioned a name that, you know, a lot of people think that can't happen, but he was very enthusiastic. Clarissa Shields.
Yeah, I think that could definitely happen at 147. I mean, it's all about who wants to fight and who's really willing to do something, you know, in this game. And my goal is to really shake up the boxing world and to put a lot of different things on the map, whether, you know, people start recognizing Chicago as having the best females out there, or if it's just, you know, bringing to light great places like Tulsa, Oklahoma. You know, I just want to do something and continue to put myself out there to make it happen. And some people don't want to do that. And if they are, like I said, whoever's willing to fight, let's fight. I don't know if Clarissa would want to fight. We'll have to see. But right now, we're just looking for big names and big fights and opportunities. And that looks like Katie, and it looks like Amanda Serrano.
Would you go up to 154 or catch weight, or she would have to meet you at 147?
Yeah, 147. 147.
Okay. All right. Last question, Jess. I saw the pound for pound list come out a day or two ago.
Yep.
They had you number 4, which I don't agree with. Do you feel like you're already a Hall of Famer in 11 fights?
Yes, and that's part of it. Part of the the whole Hall of Fame essence, is that I've been able to do so much in 11 fights. I don't know, what the stats are on that. And like you said, being unified and undisputed at the same time, I've always looked at people like Fernando Vargas, and he was like the youngest to do some things. And I've looked at people who have kind of set the path, and I want to do that. And I work so hard so that I don't take my time for granted. I'll be 36 in a couple of weeks, and you just never know what life hands you. And so I want to do it all, and I want to do it all right now. And I think that will show once I am inducted into the Hall of Fame that everything that I put forth was worth it, and it was spot on.
What does the ASI feel like?
Yeah, right. Like first time ever. Yeah. I guess I'll have to answer that the next time I get a fight lined up. But I mean, I'm so used to being the underdog, whether, my opponent has just had more fights than me, or, whether somebody's been a world titleist for so long, or, undefeated. I mean, we've always been the underdog, but I don't plan on taking any different approach to any of the fights. I'm still going to scrap for it. I'm still going to, put my whole heart into everything that I'm doing. And I don't think that feeling will ever change.
Are you going to flex a little bit in negotiations?
Oh, I let Rick flex for me. I let my muscle flex for me. Rick handles all of that. I don't have to worry about it. We're all on the same page. We have these conversations all the time about, path number 1 and path number 2, and even the girls coming up under me like Summer Lynn, professional 2-0 at 147. We talk about the fact that we may fight one day. I mean, he's got Alejandra Ayala in Mexico. She's 147. So I mean, like, me jumping up to 147 is a big mix in the pot for our own team. And it's just kind of like, everybody eats and we'll figure it out. So, I just think that with us being on the same page, he definitely represents me in the best way and has everything, that I think is important ready to go and in front of the game.
Okay. Thanks, Jess. I appreciate it. Just want to tell you congratulations again. Great performance.
Thank you so much for having me.